Hey everybody, welcome back. Today we're going to be moving on to 7.4. We're going to be solving multiplication and division equations this time. Before we have talked about solving addition and subtraction equations. Now we're just moving one step further into multiplication and division. Okay, so the very first thing, I have 4 warm-ups for you. What I want you to do is multiply, divide, do whatever you need to solve these equations. All right, get her started. All right, so this very first one, we have a pretty simple one, I think, right off the bat. We have 35 divided by -7. When we take 35 divided by -7, you get a -5. Remember, positive divided by a negative is a negative. Okay, for 8 times a -1/4, we have 8 over 1 times a -1 over 4. Okay, when we multiply straight across, we get a -8 over 4. Divide now, because we can simplify, and we get a -2. Sweet. Now we have, oh, look at this. We have fractions. We have fractions here. It says 3y minus 2y plus 3/5 equals 3/8. Well, very first thing I can do here is I can actually simplify a little bit. I can take 3y minus 2y to get just y. So now I have y plus 3/5 is equal to 3/8. How do I get rid of that 3/5? Remember, I want to get y all by itself. Well, I subtract 3/5 on both sides. And now I have y is equal to, however, we have 3/8, and I'm going to put it up here a little bit, 3/8 minus 3/5. Can I subtract those? No, I can't. I hope you're saying no, at least, or at least shaking your head, okay, because we do not have what? Common denominator. We need a common denominator, and our common denominator is going to be 40, okay? I got from 8 to 40 by multiplying by 5, so now I have 15/40 minus 24/40, all right? So now I take 15 minus 24. What is 15 minus a 24? That's a -9 over 40. Don't forget, we still have a fraction. The last one, again, we can combine like terms if it makes it easier to do your little dividers. Notice we have 2.3 and a -3.1. Okay, when we add those together, we get h plus a -0.8. Sorry, 0.8 is equal to 27. Okay, because that 8 is negative, we want to get it to equal 0, so we're going to add 0.8, and h is going to equal 7.8. Okay, so those are your 3 warm-ups. You got for number 4, h is equal to 27.8. Number 3 goes right there. Number 2 and numero uno. Sweet. All right, today we're gonna move on here. We're going to be talking about solving multiplication and division equations. Here we go. Very first thing I want you to do is I want you to write the division property of equality. So please write this down. Pause now. All right. So according to the division property of equality, just like the addition property of equality and the subtraction property of equality, if you divide both sides by the exact same number, okay, it's still equal. For instance, if I took 9 is equal to 9 and I divided both sides by 3, I still have 3 is equal to 3. It's still an equal equation. What I do to one side, I have to do to the other. All right? So that is what I have for this slide. Moving on. All right, so now I want you to solve, and we're going to show your work. Okay, so right away, I want you to please write these down, and I'm going to explain this very first one, and then we'll move on. So pause now, write it down. All right, so here we go. This very first one, notice we have 6x is equal to 48. Okay, just like we did on the 7.3 lessons, we are going to figure out what is happening in the problem, so what operation is happening, and we want to pick that inverse operation. So when I look at this very first one, 6x is equal to 48. Between the 6 and the x, what operation is happening there? Multiplication. So in order for us to do this, we are going to divide. And we're going to divide by 6. And the reason we divide by 6, because just like in a fraction, if I took 6 divided by 6, I would equal 1, or I would equal x. Okay, so on the right side, I would then take 48 divided by 6, and I get 8. Whatever I do to the left side, I need to do to the right side. Okay, so try these next three. Again, we just divided by 6, that number that was multiplying by the variable, okay, and we solved. Okay, so try 2, 3, 4, and good luck. All right, so this next one, again, we are going to be dividing, okay, because negative 9y times y, that's multiplying, so we need to take the inverse operation, which is division. We're going to be dividing by a negative 9, and y is going to equal a negative 5. Don't forget, positive divided by a negative. Okay, next side, 9x is equal to 36. Divide by 9 to get x all by itself, and we take 36 divided by 9, and we get 4. Last but not least, we have negative 3y is equal to 36. Again, are we multiplying here? Absolutely, there's multiplication happening. So we have to divide by that negative 3. Divide by this negative 3, which means we get y all by itself. 36 divided by a negative 3. Ooh, look at that negative 3. Ooh, man, that is long. And we come up with a negative 12. The rules to multiplying or dividing by a positive or negative number still apply. Okay, they still apply. Next. All right, here we go. The multiplication property of equality. So please write this down. Pause now, and I will explain. All right. When we look at this, again, same idea as all the other properties. If I give you 3 is equal to 3 on both sides, again, we know that is true. If I multiply by 2 on both sides, I still get an equal equation. Okay, 6 is still going to be equal to 6. As long as you multiply both sides by the same number. It needs to be the same number. All right, sweet. Here we go, moving on. All right, so now solve, and we're going to show your work. And I'm going to show you this very first one. Okay, so when I look at, so pause now and write this down, then I'll show you the first one. All right, here we go. So if you look at A is being divided by 3. A is being divided by 3 in this equation. So inverse operation states, because A is being divided, we need to multiply. Okay, and if we multiply by 3 on the left side, we have to multiply by 3 on the other. Okay, the reason behind that is, again, if I take A over 3 times 3 over 1, these two cancel out, and I now have A over 1, correct? Another way to put that is just A. So now what I'm going to do is negative 5 times 3. When I take negative 5 times 3, I get negative 15. Okie dokie artichoke, give the next one a shot. I'll stop so you can have a time pause. All right, here we go. We have b over negative 4. b over negative 4. What is happening to the b and the negative 4? It's dividing. Okay, so when we divide here, we actually have to take the inverse operation of what's happening. What's the inverse operation of what's happening with division? It is multiplication. So we are multiplying by negative 4 on the left side. We need to multiply by negative 4 on the right. And we get b, again, these would cancel out. b is equal to negative 6 times negative 4, positive 24. Bingo, bango, bongo. We're done with these two problems. Sweet. Moving on. All right, now it says solve the equation. Show your work. Again, show your work. That's very important in all of these problems. When you get to your homework, also show your work. Here we go, though. I want you to try to see if you can get this problem all by yourself. Notice the operation that's happening. Notice what we have to do. Okay? Give her a shot. All right, so now we have 2/3 x is equal to negative 4. Very first thing, my question is, what is happening to that x? What operation is happening to the 2/3 and the x? Multiplication. So if we're multiplying in this original problem here, what do we have to do to solve? Inverse operation, which is division. Okay, so we're going to take this entire problem and we are going to divide by 2/3. Okay, so we divide on the left side, we have to divide that negative 4 by 2/3. Notice I take negative 4 divided by 2/3. Okay, anybody know off the top of their head, negative 4 divided by 2/3? I don't know. What is the process when we divide by a fraction? Keep, flip, switch. Keep, flip, switch. Keep, flip, switch. Keep, flip, switch. Don't forget to keep it. You flip it. You switch it. And we have negative 4 times 3/2. Keep, flip, switch. Keep, flip, switch. Keep, flip, switch. Don't you just love that? I love saying keep, flip, switch. Okay, so now we're going to keep it. We flip it. We switch it. We multiply by the reciprocal. We have negative 12/2. What is negative 12 divided by 2? Negative 6. We have negative 6 here because we kept it, we flipped it, and we switched it to get negative 6. Sweet! And we're done with this problem. Don't forget, we needed to divide by that 2/3 because multiplication was happening in the equation. Okay? Last problem of the day. Okay? It says Max catches the disc 30 feet from you. The disc spends 2.5 seconds in the air. Using the equation D equals RT, find the speed of the disc. So pause now, write this down. You know what? I want you to pause and I want you to try this problem. See if you can figure out what the distance is, what the rate is, and what the time is. R is rate, T is time, and D is distance. Okay, give this one a shot. See what you can come up with. All right, go ahead. Pause. All right, so we have the equation of D equals R times T. Okay, very first thing, Max catches the disc 30 feet from you. Is that a rate? Is that a time? Is that a distance? That's a distance. Okay, 30 feet. The disc spends 2.5 seconds in the air. Is that a rate or is that a time? That is a time. Okay, so now, do we have a rate here? No. So because we do not know what our rate, we're just going to plug in R. Okay, so now we plug in what we know into the equations. We know 30 is equal to R times 2.5. You get it? Okay, we plugged in here our distance, plugged in our time, and we plugged in our R into the equation that we already have. Okay, so from here what we are going to do is we are going to take 30 is equal to R times 2.5. Now, what operation is happening between the R and that 2.5? Multiplication. We need to take the inverse operation. What's the inverse operation of multiplication? Division. So we're going to divide here by 2.5. So R is going to equal 12. Now, what is the unit though? This is important, just as important as the answer of 12. What is the unit here? Okay, a rate is a rate of distance over time. What's my distance in? What's my value or my unit of distance? It's feet. What's the unit of time that I'm using? Seconds. So it's 12 feet per second. And that's my answer. Okay? So you're going to be doing these types of problems in your homework, both multiplying and dividing. So walk through them carefully. Here is your homework. This is very, very, very important. Right here, this last sentence. Show your work. SYW. Show your work on each one of these steps. I want to see that middle process step that you have. Okay? Make sure you write down that example problem, show your work, solve for your answer, because that work is essential to you doing this problem. Can you use your calculators? Yes, I will allow you to use your calculators. Do a little fist pump right now. Yes, calculators. You can use your calculators, all right? You can use your calculators, all right? Good luck. Have fun. Enjoy. This is math. This is Mr. Sheeman signing off.